Hi, I'm Tiffany and this is Towering TBR. Alright, I have another haul for you. I know, I'm out of control. But Thriftbooks was having a sale, and the thing that caught my eye was The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. Is a beautiful graphic novel that features storytelling and reading fairy tales, and it was $3. So that's what started this whole thing. I was like, I can get a graphic novel, full color, and very lightly used for $3? Yeah, I gotta do that. So that's what started this particular buying spree. So yes, I've already read this, and it's a beautiful story about this Vietnamese mom and son who moved to the United States, and they practice their English by reading fairy tales. And a lot of these fairy tales are queer and beautiful, and he tries to use these to come out to his mom. He feels like he doesn't really know what it would be called in Vietnamese to describe how he's feeling, but she doesn't quite understand English either, and so it's this beautiful attempt at communication, and I loved it. I had to see what other graphic novels they were selling for very inexpensive, and I came across The Golden Hour by Nikki Smith. This focuses on a young boy who has PTSD from a school shooting. Quite honestly, we're gonna probably see more characters like this. But anyways, he feels very isolated and lonely, and so he starts to pursue photography as a way to cope. And eventually he gets on a group project, and I think makes friends and might even have a love interest. So very excited about this. This I think is also middle grade, whereas I think this is adult, even though we're focusing on a kid. The last graphic novel I picked up was a YA book. I don't read a whole lot of YA, but this one intrigued me because it's these two boys and they are like hunting the paranormal. And also one of the boys, Eli, has a chronic autoimmune disorder. So I'm excited to see some Spoonie rep. In addition to fighting paranormal monsters, I think they also fall for each other. So I'm really excited. One thing that makes this graphic novel a bit interesting is it has two authors, but they also both illustrate as well. And so there's stylistic changes in between some of the pictures. One of my favorite authors, Jenny Lawson, owns her own bookstore and runs her own book club. And recently she highlighted The 30 Names of Night by Zain Jukadar. And this, I think, is about a trans character from Syria. Yes, a refugee from Syria. All I know is that it gets really weird. I believe it's magical realism. His mother dies, and she's an ornithologist, and so he starts coping by painting birds, and then uncovers some sort of mystery. These next two I bought because when people find out my favorite book is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith, they often try to give me recommendations for similar kind of coming-of-age stories. And the two recommended to me the most, one is The Accidental Salvation of Gracie Lee by Talia Tate Borner. This is about 10-year-old Gracie Lee, who is growing up in Arkansas. She has an alcoholic father, and so she is trying to be out of the house and out of his way as much as possible. And she goes on these little mysteries. She fancies herself to be Nancy Drew, and she likes to uncover mysteries and secrets within the town, and I think she stumbles across something that forever changes her life. And sounds like a wonderful coming-of-age story, and I'm really excited to read it. The other book that is often recommended to me is The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. This is about a man who is deaf and mute. He cannot speak, and the people of the town use him to confide in because they think he can't spread their secrets and they can unburden themselves and tell him. This is also set in like the 1930s, somewhat closer to the time that A Tree Grows in Brooklyn is set, but this is a very ugly cover, but I got it for not very much money, and if I like it, I can always get a better copy. But I'm excited to try this. I picked up 2 more nonfiction because I can't be stopped. I don't know. I found The Deviant War, The Homosexual versus the United States of America by Eric Cervini. This is the account of Frank Kameny, who in 1957 was fired for being gay, and he fought back. He and some others were like really early activists and getting legal protections for the LGBT community. It just sounds like it'll be really interesting. And so I just had to have it. I also picked up a memoir called In the Shadow of the Mountain by Sylvia Vasquez Lavado. And this sounds great. Apparently it is page-turning and exhilarating account of her climbing Mount Everest, and that just sounds exhilarating experience. I'm excited about all of them, but I'm excited about it. I picked up some YA. I'm not a typical YA reader, but when I heard about The Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe, I was really intrigued. This is set in the 50s during the Red Scare. Communism was rising and politicians in the US were using that to stoke fear in people. And the Red Scare was when people were afraid of like China and other communist countries and started targeting people of Chinese descent in the United States. This is also what is set at a local lesbian and gay bar. I think is set based on some true life accounts, but I've heard so much about this, and it has won like all of these awards that I thought, you know what, for $3, I'm gonna pick it up. I was able to pick up Breakfast at Tiffanys by Truman Capote and the 3 other short stories that are in this collection. I've never seen the movie. I know there are problematic elements with it, but when I read In Cold Blood a couple of years ago by Truman Capote, I was blown away by his writing style. It was compelling and yet incredibly informative. I just really hit it off with him, so I decided to pick up his short stories. I don't really know what it's about except for a character called Holly Golightly. I picked up Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. I've read their book An Unkindness of Ghosts and thought that was really great. This follows a heavily pregnant woman carrying twins, and she escapes from a cult and gives birth in the woods. And then it is a fight for her and her baby's survival, and I think there might be magical elements as well, so sounds really compelling. I also read the story The Vila, which was a book that was written by 4 authors. One was Rivers Solomon, another one was Becky Chambers. She is one of my favorite authors, and that's why I read it. But I like their writing style. I was compelled to pick up another YA called Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This follows a trans male character who wants to prove he is a brujo. So he decides to conjure up a ghost, but unfortunately he ends up summoning the wrong ghost, and the one that he summons won't leave him alone until he is able to address his unfinished business. I think they might even fall for each other. I think it's a romance. It sounded sweet and cute, and I need some lighter things. The last book that I picked up from Thriftbooks is My Government Means to Kill Me by Rashid Newson. This is a fiction story about a character who is young, black, and gay in the height of the AIDS epidemic in New York City in the 1980s. And he becomes an activist with the organization ACT UP, which was fighting for people to basically have access to medication and a bunch of other stuff, and really talks about how these men were left to die. Like, the inaction by the government was in and of itself a decision, and I think that that really explores this. So those are all the books I got from Thriftbooks. I don't think their sale is running by the time I put this video up, but if it is, I'll link it. Have you read any of these books? Or have you acquired any great books lately that you're excited to talk about? Let's have a chat in the comments down below. All right, thanks. Bye.